the origins of the whole thing were really a guy called Stanley Foster, who died and left a small bequest asking his children to start an environmental organisation in his name. So in Leongatha in the early 90s, the Foster Foundation was established. And we started off by doing a bit of tree planting with, especially particularly in the Leongatha area, all the farmers had been paid to chop down the trees originally, and now they're being paid to put all the trees back in again. So we were training the school kids, the local school kids, to do plantings, and we were puddling along doing 100 trees here and 100 trees there, and thinking we were saving the world. And also thinking that because we were saving the world, that all the local businesses should support us and give us money to pay the rent and pay the lease on the photocopier and all of those sort of important things. And after a while, we sort of decided, a year or two, we sort of decided this wasn't working. We weren't able to do the sort of big stuff we wanted to do. We weren't sure what that was, but we wanted to do it. So we put all our pennies together and we hired a sponsorship manager who was supposed to tell us how to get lots of money in so we could do all the things we needed to do. So the first thing he taught us, and probably the only thing he taught us, was that you've actually got to have a product that people want. People are not going to give you money or support or whatever it is just because you're doing the right thing without a clear definition of what the right thing is even. So anyway, come what may. One evening, driving back from some event in Melbourne, two of us were listening to the radio in the car, and Dr. Leo Dobbs, who was then the head of the Bureau of Transport and Communication Economics, I think it was called then, was talking about some assessments that he made. This was in 1996. He was talking about some assessments he made about how to reduce emissions from transport. And he had this throwaway line at the end of the story that the cheapest way of doing it was, of course, to plant trees. And that if you planted 7 trees, you could offset the emissions of the average car. And we thought, bingo, that's fantastic. Let's do something with that. So I got in touch with Leo and found out that this was modelled on the carbon lockup potential of very large blue eucalyptus or something of the sort. And I sort of said, well, we're not actually into monoculture. We like to restore original ecosystems. And he said, well, we don't do that. I have no idea. So I went to Creswick, who a lot of you would know about, which in those days was called the Centre for Forestry Technology. And between us, we worked out the average potential uptake, we thought, with various margins built in for what a hectare of biodiverse plantings, on average across reasonable rainfall areas, might do. And we came up with the idea and converted that back on the basis that within that 250 tonnes per hectare, how many stems would there be? And there might be 1,000 stems in there, so therefore it comes back to if the average car put out 4.3 tonnes, therefore you needed 17 trees. So that was sort of where the model came from. We then went to CSIRO and said, look, we've got this wobbly sort of model, nobody seems to have done it anywhere, we can't find anything else about it. Can you have a look at it? So they had a look at it and said, seems about right, it shouldn't be too far wrong, you've got margins in there, it should be okay. So we thought, okay, 17 trees, this is what it's going to cost you, this is how we're going to do it. Now, okay, we've got a great idea, what are we going to do with it? And how are we going to get it out there? Now, most not-for-profits, we were aware of this, having almost failed ourselves so many times, that most not-for-profits, even the ones with a good idea, disappear very quickly. So we thought, well, how are we going to make this happen? So we thought, well, we need somebody from government, we need somebody from industry, and we need somebody from the community that will inspire people to contribute to this. So we got Brian Robinson, Dr. Brian Robinson, who was then chair of the EPA, who a number of you would have known in his day. Good old Irishman, you know they're great. And Brian was very supportive from the word go. Then we got, I think next we got Peter Brock as the sort of representative of motorist community, that sort of thing, because Peter, despite what a lot of people might think, had a farm and planted a lot of trees himself and was really quite ecologically minded and of course a great communicator. So we got Peter, And then we went to RSCV and said, no, we want you as a sponsor. And they said, well, you need a big business name. So I sort of said, well, what about Ron Walker? And they said, yeah. So then I went, if you get in touch with Ron Walker, how do you persuade him? But anyway, long story short, we managed to get in touch with him, and he said, okay, I'll be a patron or whatever you want, and we'll do that. And that brought RSCV in. So we sort of built the base model, and out of that we then got the thing launched with Peter Brock driving Jeff Kinnett onto a stage in an open Commodore and blah, blah, blah. Great, hoo-ha, rah. We got some work done by one of RMIT, I think it was, to say that lots of people would subscribe to plant trees to offset their emissions. Didn't quite happen that way, and we nearly went broke several times, but eventually. I'm sure a lot of people have heard that story too. So what we launched was the first biological offset program for emissions, I believe, in the world. We haven't seen one that predated it. And I guess the sole purpose of it was not specifically to reduce net emissions from motor cars, but it was to put trees in the ground to restore ecosystems. And that's what you guys have been doing. And I want to congratulate you all. I want to congratulate Wayne and the team for what you've picked up and carried on. It's lovely to feel and to hear that over 9 million trees have been planted as a result of that interview with Leo Dobbs 21 years ago. So congratulations to you all.